Imagine waking up to sirens, explosions, and the sound of marching soldiers. On this day, in 1939, the world plunged into the most destructive war in human history. September 1st, 1939, at 4:45 a.m., the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein opened fire on the Polish garrison at Westerplatte, near Danzig. This single moment would plunge the world into the most devastating conflict in human history.
For 6 years, Adolf Hitler had been rebuilding Germany's military might, systematically violating the Treaty of Versailles. Now his war machine turned its attention to Poland, a nation that stood as the final obstacle to German domination of Eastern Europe.
This is the story of 18 days that changed everything. The story of how a regional conflict became World War II. The story of the German invasion of Poland.
By 1939, Adolf Hitler had been in power for 6 years, systematically dismantling the post-World War I order in Europe. The Treaty of Versailles had stripped Germany of significant territory, including the creation of the Polish Corridor, a strip of land that gave Poland access to the sea but divided Germany from East Prussia. For Hitler, this was an intolerable humiliation that had to be corrected. The free city of Danzig, today's Gdansk, became the flashpoint. Predominantly German in population, but under League of Nations protection with Poland controlling its foreign policy, Danzig represented everything Hitler claimed was wrong with the post-war settlement. Hitler saw the Polish corridor as a dagger pointed at the heart of Germany. His obsession with Lebensraum meant that Poland was always going to be in his crosshairs. But Hitler's ambitions went far beyond recovering lost territory. His concept of Lebensraum demanded the conquest of Eastern Europe to provide space for German settlers and slaves to work German farms and factories. Poland, meanwhile, was caught between two totalitarian giants. While Hitler plotted in the west, Stalin's Soviet Union loomed to the east. Polish leaders, led by Foreign Minister Josef Beck, attempted to navigate this treacherous diplomatic landscape. Poland had reasons for confidence. They possessed Europe's fourth largest army, with over 1 million men under arms. Their cavalry was legendary, their pilots skilled. They had defense agreements with both Britain and France. What they didn't know was that their fate had already been sealed in a secret negotiation between their two greatest enemies. August 23, 1939, Moscow. In a stunning diplomatic reversal that shocked the world, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union signed a non-aggression pact. Publicly, it promised that neither nation would attack the other. The secret protocol, however, told a different story. Germany and the Soviet Union had agreed to divide Poland between them, along with the rest of Eastern Europe. For Hitler, the pact eliminated the threat of a two-front war. For Stalin, it provided a buffer zone against German expansion and time to prepare his military. For Poland, it was a death sentence. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was one of the most cynical agreements in diplomatic history. Two ideological enemies agreeing to carve up innocent nations between them. The news hit Warsaw like a thunderbolt. Polish leaders had always assumed that German-Soviet hostility would protect them from invasion. Now, facing enemies on two fronts, their strategic situation had become hopeless. In London and Paris, the reaction was equally grim. Britain and France had guaranteed Polish independence, but with Germany and the Soviet Union now allied, honoring those guarantees seemed impossible. Hitler, meanwhile, was emboldened. With his eastern flank secure, he could focus all his military might on destroying Poland. The invasion was set for August 26th, but last-minute diplomatic interventions forced a brief delay. The delay wouldn't matter. Hitler was determined to have his war. September 1st, 1939, 4:45 a.m. German forces struck along a 1,750-mile front from the Baltic Sea to Slovakia. This wasn't just an invasion. It was the debut of a revolutionary new form of warfare, blitzkrieg, or lightning war. The German plan, codenamed Fall Weiss, or Case White, deployed 1.5 million men, 2,500 tanks, and 2,000 aircraft. 5 army groups would converge on Warsaw from 3 directions, encircling and destroying the Polish forces before they could organize effective resistance. Leading the assault were the Wehrmacht's panzer divisions, concentrated formations of tanks, motorized infantry, and artillery that could punch through enemy lines and race deep into their rear areas. Army Group South, under General Gerd von Rundstedt, advanced from Silesia and Slovakia toward Warsaw and Krakow. Army Group North, commanded by General Fedor von Bock, struck from Pomerania and East Prussia toward the Polish corridor and the capital. The Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, played a crucial role. In the first hours of the war, German bombers struck Polish airfields, attempting to destroy the Polish air force on the ground. The attack on Wilun, a small Polish town with no military significance, showed the brutal nature of this new warfare. German bombers deliberately targeted the hospital and market square, killing over 1,200 civilians in what many consider the first terror bombing of World War II. The Polish army fought with desperate courage. At Mokra, the Volhynian Cavalry Brigade used anti-tank guns and armored trains to halt the German 4th Panzer Division for an entire day, one of the few Polish victories of the campaign. The Soviet betrayal. As Polish forces struggled against the German onslaught, their leaders clung to hope that the Soviet Union might remain neutral or even provide assistance against their common enemy. That hope was shattered at dawn on September 17th, when 600,000 Soviet troops crossed Poland's eastern border. The Red Army's invasion was justified by Stalin as protecting Ukrainian and Belarusian minorities, but its real purpose was claiming the territory promised in the secret protocol. For the Polish army, already reeling from 2 weeks of German attacks, the Soviet invasion was the final blow. Polish forces now faced enemies on all sides, with no possibility of establishing defensive lines. September 17th was truly Poland's darkest hour. They were fighting for their survival against Germany, and suddenly they were stabbed in the back by the Soviet Union. The Soviet advance met little resistance. Many Polish units in the east were reserve formations with limited equipment. More importantly, Polish commanders had received no orders on how to respond to their supposed allies' invasion. Some Polish units chose to fight the Soviets. Others attempted to retreat westward to continue the fight against Germany, and still others simply disbanded. The confusion was total. Near Brest-Litovsk, German and Soviet forces met and held a joint victory parade celebrating their conquest of Poland. The sight of Nazi and Communist soldiers marching together would have seemed impossible just months earlier.
Meanwhile, the Polish government and high command had fled Warsaw for the southeastern city of Kuti, hoping to establish a final defensive perimeter in alliance with Romania. The Soviet invasion made this impossible. On September 18th, Polish President Ignacy Mościcki and Commander-in-Chief Edward Rydz-Śmigły crossed into Romania, where they were immediately interned. The organized defense of Poland had effectively ended.
The Siege of Warsaw. While the Polish government fled into exile, the capital city of Warsaw prepared for siege. Under the command of General Walerian Czuma, the city's defenders, regular troops, police, and thousands of civilian volunteers vowed to fight to the end.
German forces reached Warsaw's outskirts on September 8th, but their initial attacks were repulsed. The Poles had turned every building into a fortress, every street into a killing ground. Hitler, frustrated by the delay, ordered the systematic destruction of the city. German artillery and air attacks targeted not just military positions, but hospitals, schools, and residential areas. The siege became a test of endurance. Food supplies dwindled, water became scarce, and electricity failed throughout much of the city. Yet the defenders held on, inspired by the knowledge that their resistance might give the Western Allies time to launch their promised offensive.
That offensive never came. Britain and France, despite their guarantees to Poland, launched only limited attacks along Germany's western border, actions so tentative that they became known as the Phony War. The Western Allies were psychologically unprepared for war. They had hoped diplomacy could resolve the crisis, and when fighting began, they were paralyzed by the fear of German retaliation.
In Warsaw, Mayor Stefan Starzyński became the voice of Polish resistance, broadcasting daily radio messages that inspired not just the city's defenders, but Poles around the world. By late September, the situation in Warsaw had become desperate. German forces had surrounded the city completely, cutting off all supplies and reinforcements. The end came on September 27th. With ammunition exhausted, food supplies gone, and thousands of civilians dead or wounded, General Czuma agreed to surrender. Warsaw had held out for 3 weeks against overwhelming odds. The last Polish forces surrendered at Kok on October 6th, ending the September campaign. In just 35 days, Germany and the Soviet Union had erased Poland from the map of Europe.
The world goes to war. The invasion of Poland didn't just destroy a nation, it transformed a European crisis into a global war. On September 3rd, Britain and France declared war on Germany, honoring their guarantees to Poland. Within days, the British Empire, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa had joined the conflict. The local war that Hitler had planned had become the world war he had hoped to avoid. Yet for Poland, these declarations of war came too late. The Western Allies' failure to launch an immediate offensive allowed Germany to concentrate its full strength against Polish forces. The fourth partition of Poland was complete. Germany annexed western Polish territories, incorporating them into the Reich. The remaining Polish lands became the general government, a Nazi colony administered with brutal efficiency.
The Soviet Union annexed eastern Poland, incorporating these territories into Ukraine, Belarus, and Lithuania. Millions of Poles found themselves under Soviet rule.
For the Polish people, the invasion marked the beginning of nearly 6 years of occupation, resistance, and suffering. The Nazis implemented policies designed to destroy Polish culture and identity, while the Soviets deported hundreds of thousands of Poles to Siberian labor camps. The invasion of Poland wasn't just a military campaign. It was the beginning of a systematic attempt to destroy the Polish nation and its people. Yet Poland's defeat also marked the beginning of its resistance. Even as regular Polish forces surrendered, the foundations were being laid for what would become Europe's largest underground resistance movement,
The Polish government in exile, established first in France and later in London, would continue to represent free Poland throughout the war, while Polish forces would fight on every front of World War II. The German invasion of Poland was more than just the opening act of World War II. It was a preview of the horrors to come. The deliberate targeting of civilians, the racial policies of the occupiers, and the systematic destruction of Polish institutions foreshadowed the genocides that would follow. In 18 days, the world changed forever. The peace that had lasted 20 years was shattered, replaced by a conflict that would consume 60 million lives and reshape the global order. The invasion demonstrated the devastating effectiveness of modern warfare, but also the courage of those who resisted. Poland may have been defeated, but the Polish spirit remained unbroken. Today, Poland stands as a free and sovereign nation, a member of NATO and the European Union. The borders drawn in 1939 may have shifted, but the Polish people's long struggle for independence finally achieved its ultimate victory. The invasion of Poland reminds us that freedom is never guaranteed, that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and that even in humanity's darkest hours, courage and resistance can light the way toward a better future.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.